Now we're going to look at our second topic area in the Going for Goals and Keep on Learning topic, the practical skills of setting and achieving a goal. Now, as you can see, we break this down into a number of sub-skills. This is a lovely activity from Year 8, Better and Better. It's a great interactive, fun activity, and you can basically do it with all ages from reception up to Year 11. It's a group challenge, so in this case they get everybody to go through a hoop as quickly as they can, and the aim is to improve on their performance. And then that's linked to a discussion about goal setting and how they overcame obstacles and so on. And I really like this one because I think it's a great example of a good social and emotional learning activity. You can use any fun challenge that you want to, and they can be done as starters, as change of pace activity, to celebrate at the end of a session and so on. So have a quick look at that one and think maybe about what you do in terms of these kind of fun activities. Focus area links to a number of progression steps, and again through mostly within what matters statement 3, which includes a focus on goal setting, as you can see. And then the SEL learning materials, there's a similar progression with a breakdown of the sub-skills. So you've got outcomes such as I can foresee obstacles and plan to overcome them when I'm setting goals. I can predict and understand the consequences of my goals for myself, other individuals or groups. There's a few more there, but I'll leave you to have a look at those at your leisure. And of course they continue as usual through the Year 7, 8 and 9, which you can find in the learning opportunity booklets in secondary, within the secondary theme. So SEL breaks down the practical skills into 5 sub-skills, which are shown here. The setting a goal, considering the consequences on yourself and on others around you, breaking the goal down into TATs, which you'll discover what they are in a bit if you don't know already, planning to overcome obstacles, and evaluating and learning from mistakes. So we're going to look at each of those in turn. One of the most important things I think we can do in schools is to support learners in choosing realistic goals. It's fantastic to have high aspirations and to be a famous singer or a non-specific celebrity or YouTuber, as everybody I speak to seems to want to be these days. But children actually need our help in turning a dream into a realistic or an achievable goal. There's lots of frameworks out there which will help look at how to do that, to turn a dream into a goal, and pretty much they involve similar set of steps as we do in SEL. So setting targets, planning for obstacles, making a plan, and so on. This is a nice little video about the process from Character Lab you might like to look at when you're planning or delivering work in this area. So in every year group, the children are expected to set a goal, and it uses the same process. So they get practice every year in setting and achieving goals. So at foundation, they have a goal like I think it's passing a tambourine silently around the circle, something that's achievable within a few minutes. And as they get older, it's achievable maybe within a day, a few days, a week, half a term, and so on. In year 2, it's lovely. It's suggested that the children choose something they can already do. So maybe, I don't know, skipping or skateboarding or juggling or hula hooping, probably something to do with games on Xboxes or something like that. They look at their current performance and they set a goal to improve it. And then they plan how to do that with at least 2 steps and also a buddy, somebody to kind of help them along. They're taught through these activities to make their goals realistic and quite specific, to know what their success criteria are, so how they're going to measure their success, and time bound. And so lots of schools introduce the idea of SMART targets. The second sub-skill is this important one of considering the consequences of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And at every age, there are examples that are provided for explicit sessions, which allow children to look at various scenarios with different courses of action and to consider how they impact on different people, different characters. So those are some of them from Year 1, Year 3 and Year 6. Again, it's an aspect that can be incorporated into their normal daily planning if they've got behaviour or learning targets, you know, what the impact will be if they do or don't achieve them and so on. So get some of that sort of 80% there. For older students, there's lots of opportunities to develop this work of consequences, or when they're not considered, which is an interesting area. So unintended consequences, and of course the classic one is the atom bomb, often discussed in terms of unforeseen consequences. There's some really great videos out there, and I do particularly like this image here. This isn't one for now, but it's an absolutely great video just to start off discussion on this particular topic. Very funny. And there's quite a few of those, so you know, more for secondary. On to sub-skill 3, breaking it down into tiny, attainable, tickable targets, which is what the TATS stands for. You've probably come across that before. Quite a lot on this. Every time the children set themselves a goal in every year group, they are asked to break it down. So in Year 1, there's a lovely activity with Rihanna and Daisy, who have to organise a trip to Alton Towers and discuss with other children what they've got to do and in what order. And then Year 2, we've talked a little bit about every child setting themselves a goal based on something they can already do and breaking it down into different targets. And then ladders, tools like ladders and scaling's introduced. So in Year 3, I think they set a class goal and they have a scale that is labelled 1 to 10. The class decide where they are now and where they want to be, what it'll look like when they get there, how they'll know that they've got there. And it introduces the skill of scaling, which is quite a helpful one when we're looking at goal setting. Nice example there from the secondary materials, the teacher who made the display with a bullseye in the centre, rays coming out, so that each child had a round, a kind of badge to represent themselves, and they could mark their progress towards their goal on the class display. It was quite nice. And another one actually invited a parent in who was running the London Marathon and did a brilliant kind of interview around how they prepared for it, how they overcame obstacles, what their goals were, how they broke it down and so on. So lots and lots of things that you can get people involved in within this topic. So on to sub-skill 4, which is planning for obstacles, and you might like to share this image with your learners. And I think, to be honest, this planning for obstacles, there's quite a lot of stuff around on people who've overcome obstacles, and we'll certainly be looking at that under the kind of seeing it through heading. But one of the most important parts of planning to reach a goal is this thinking about the obstacles you might come across. Now, I've had 2 major goals in my life in the last few years, and those were giving up smoking and probably linked to giving up smoking, but losing weight. And both times that I've been successful in those things, it's been because I've spent time really thinking about what the obstacles might be. When would I want a cigarette / biscuit? And what would I do when that happens? Usually go to bed, but the process of thinking it through was so important when it actually came to it. If we meet these challenges unprepared, we're just going to succumb. Willpower isn't enough. Well, in my case anyway. So pupils are encouraged to make this part of their goal setting right the way through at all ages. Year 4 is a lovely one where they're prepared, where they're asked to put together a kind of Guinness Book of Records, class book of records, and they explicitly think through what's the record I want to set for myself and what are the obstacles I might come across. And there's some examples there on the slide of the sort of things that they've come up with. And they help each other to come up with strategies for overcoming some of those obstacles. Subskill 5, learning from our mistakes. There's loads of brilliant pictures on the internet about mistakes that have been made, and it's almost hard to believe, isn't it, that some of these are real, but they're great fun, and children really enjoy seeing them. So a few little examples there, but of course you'll find an awful lot more. This learning from mistakes is very much a focus of work on growth mindset that we touched on earlier. There's loads and loads of kind of motivational posters about, but we know that it's not enough to put a poster up and hope it changes behaviour. So we need to do some things as well, and we need to demonstrate ourselves that it's okay to make a mistake. We need to talk about how we have made mistakes and how we use them. We need to give children opportunities to review and evaluate what's gone well and what hasn't, and as a result what they'll do differently next time. And we need to use language that reflects our belief that mistakes are an expected and valuable part of learning. So I'm all for motivational posters all around the school, but we do need to do those things as well. So explicit opportunities are provided throughout the materials, all age ranges, but most of the learning here, of course, will be through that 80% of reinforcement and 20% from those explicit opportunities that we provide. Couple of quotes here. I've selected some, but again, for the reflection and inquiry or for the review section, you can choose your own fridge magnets really, and just asking the young people how they might prepare for a rough sea when they're setting out and so on, whatever metaphor works for you. Part of the 80% of the skill reinforcement, all of the booklets have ideas for ongoing activities. In year 5, these are the ones that are suggested, but there's lots more. So have a little read through those, and then in the final section, we'll look at how schools have gone beyond these and develop their own ideas and some of the resources that they've used to help them to develop the skills that we've been talking about. And finally, in this section, you can pause the presentation here and consider the ideas that are listed on the slide.